I pressed the wrong thing. I think it's live now. Welcome everyone to episode 24 of Growth Talk. I'm here with Shelby, ISFP. Shelby, how you doing today?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
It's been a rough day actually, but we won't get into that. But
Oh,
good enough for a Growth Talk at least.
oh, sorry. Well,
I'm wondering, should you answer that question honestly? Because I feel the pressure to be like, I've had a real shitty day, but the FE part of me is like, nobody wants to hear that. Like, it makes it weird.
well, now I feel bad because we were talking for like 15 minutes before and you didn't say that.
Well, I wasn't asked, and I didn't want to divulge it either. So that's
Sorry.
last. Remember,
Yeah.
But no, I'm good, and sometimes these help me kind of, snap out of stuff. So I think
Good.
that's So yeah. So your type, MFFISE. Oh, you have it written down. Great. Consume, play, last, sleep. Okay. Oh, you're also audio. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's a theory that you tend to get along better with the people that have the same modalities. At least that's what Jono was telling me, that he gets along better with the other audios. Do you feel like that's a thing? Or
Yeah, I do. I at least feel like I kind of understand them a little bit more. My husband's double feminine, and I think I see the attraction there, but there's definitely like a difference in communication wise. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't typed too many people in my life, so I don't know if they're audio or not, but I get that vibe too.
Yeah, for sure. There is I can't really put my finger on it, but there is like a kind of vibe with each modality, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't put it into words, but I feel like there's something there somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
So with your type, if you had to give like an ISFP in a nutshell, or FISC in a nutshell, what's something you could tell somebody if they were trying to maybe see if they were an ISFP, or if they were trying to look out into the world and try to find your type in the wild? What would you tell them? What's a general description?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard question.
It's a tough question. Just whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be like,
Okay. I mean, I would say I'd probably go with like more the negative traits, just because that's kind of how they roll with it and off. But I don't know, like just very consumed with the physical world, things I like, kind of self-absorbed, emotional, self-conscious, difficulty in making decisions quickly, more go with the flow as opposed to planning things out, focus on what I want, stubborn. There's a few things.
Yeah, I can relate to all those qualities actually.
Yeah. IP, I guess.
Yeah. You said focusing on things I like. Do you feel like that's a negative thing?
No, that's not a negative thing.
Do you feel like it could but like sometimes it's too much, or do you feel like you have to kind of balance it out sometime, or?
Yeah, it for sure has to be balanced out. But I think that's where the double observer like really comes into play, at least for me. I don't go too all into one thing just because I can see the spectrum on the observer axis. But no, it can be if I can get real stubborn and real focused on something that I feel like this is what I want, this is the way that I want it, and I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
And then not focusing on the other person, then that's where it can be an issue.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So they have this general question in that they were talking about, or Dave and Chan was talking about. If it's someone would save your FI, you can ask them this question and it's easy for them. But I don't believe it actually. The question is very general. It's like, what do you like? Can I just ask you a general question about what you like and you can just rattle stuff off? Or is that them kind of being like,
No, I feel like that's awkward. Like, I guess I know what I like, but I also, I'm overthinking it because I'm like, what do you hear? What's going to make me like good? And so it's not that I don't know what I like. It's that, do I want to share that with you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, because you're worried about what I would think of it, or it just feels personal or vulnerable in some way, or?
Yeah, more worried about, because the thing with the IP, like I'm worried about the tribe interaction and is what I'm saying, like, is it appropriate? Is it like the right time, place. Or is there some kind of shame in it? Like, is it a little
Oh.
like they call like FI blanky thing that maybe I don't
Mhm.
tell you? But in terms of like, do I personally know? Yeah, that's never been an issue.
Okay. Yeah, I can. If I like flip it back to TI, then it's like, what are your ideas? And it's like, it'd be kind of the same question, right? And then yeah, like, I think I would feel the same way. It's like, well, I don't want to like just put that out there and then have you criticize it or think a certain
Right.
way about it, right?
Because if you share an idea with me, like at least me with TE, like I'm obligated to kind of like bounce back. And then
Mhm,
that might not work well with you. And I feel like if I share something I like with you, like if you were to FE bounce back, like there just might be a clash. And I can kind of see that vibe
mhm,
now with people. And so I think I go more off of like the vibe of the conversation. Like if we're talking about something in particular
mhm.
that I know the other person has an interest in, then I'm more than happy to talk about it. But I'm not just gonna like, share stuff that doesn't pertain to the situation at hand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Like it has to be appropriate.
I'm wondering, like, what kind of like pingbacks do you get sometimes from FE people that like can be kind of off-putting or like kind of annoying, or like what's kind of the feedback that you don't like as an FI person when you kind of put something out there, other than like, why do you like that? Obviously, but like, is there more like subtle things that you're just like, sometimes?
I'm trying to think. My husband has FE. I'm trying to think with us, like, uh, I mean, he's TI, so it's a little different than FE. But like,
Mhm.
if I say something that I like, he usually doesn't know what to say back, and he'll just say like, "Cool."
Okay.
I'm like, man, like at least try to. Can you relate to me at all? Like, but sometimes if I talk to someone that has FI, like they might FI like that thing too, and then we can
Mhm.
connect for that. Um, but at least from my interactions with the TI, if he doesn't like it or have any interest, then it's kind of just like I threw something out there and now it's just staying out there.
The ball just drops. He
Yeah.
doesn't catch it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can
You ever,
understand that.
do you see that as someone with TI?
Like that I do that when
Yeah.
people I probably do, but just totally unconsciously. Like I don't know that that's like in their FI thing maybe. And I just hear somebody randomly say they like a certain type of ice cream or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's nice." Like I don't know. I don't know if it's like a big deal maybe. I'm not really sure. But if like if somebody's like, okay, like showing me a song that like means a lot to them and if that's clear, then
Mhm.
yeah, like there has to be some like feedback there other than just like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? But I think like being Demon FE, you probably don't always see that like where the FI is at so much. And so sometimes things can maybe just feel random. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if I were to say to you like or like to what's preface or disclaim something and say like, this means a lot to me and then share it, would that kind of like instigate prompt you more to have a different response?
Yeah, totally. For
Because
sure.
I want to like bring the FE out and connect with the person.
Yeah. And just be like very like gentle with it and think about like, okay, what is this person like from this person's perspective sharing with this with me? What would be something that would like be kind of a slap in the face or be kind of like because I mean, even though like I'm not FI, like I've like also shared like FI things with somebody and then have them kind of not respond in like a great way. And that like it kind of hurt to be honest. And I don't want to be like that in that role. If somebody, even if somebody likes something that I just can't stand, I'm not gonna like voice that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think the thing is with people's preferences and things that they like, even like with music, for example, like if you really like a song that I just think is so dumb and I hate it and blah blah blah, it's not a dumb song and like I don't actually hate it. I'm listening to a completely different song than you are, right? We have different brains, we interpret it differently, we're having a completely different experience. So for me to take your experience and because of my experience to say that experience sucks is completely kind of dumb, right? So I think like with
Yeah.
anything that somebody likes, it's completely justified that they like it because their experience is obviously likable because they like it, and it's different than your experience. Which I don't know if that makes any sense, but you kind of know what I'm getting at.
I do. And I see how you're bringing like the FE into that because the way I interpret it, like it's hard for me to get inside their emotions. Like if I think a song is dumb, like it's just dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how on earth could you even like that?
Yeah.
But and like I could get to what you're saying, but that's not natural for me at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think in general it's a I think a hard switch because you just know your experience and sometimes it's like not the most natural thing to know how different someone else's experience is, I guess. You know what I mean? Especially as an IP, right? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it works that way with ideas too. Like if you could flip it over, or it's like I have a hard time with that because, like, wait, an idea is either good or bad. There's no subjectivity there, but maybe there is. But from a TE person's perspective, is there like, do you feel like ideas tend to be subjective, or do you feel like there is like more like of an objective sort of way you can rate that sort of thing?
It feels more objective to me for sure. Because like if you give an idea and we're talking about it, like there's so many things that go into it. It's not just like, I like this, there's no reason for it, we're done. It's like, this is an idea. But then it's like, well, what about this? Like, that's not going to work because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And so it definitely feels more objective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, kind of figure that out a bit because for me, it's just like with the TI, you're just like, there is this way, and then the other ways are probably not as good because clearly I chose this way, so it has to be the best one. I don't know, it's so stupid, but I'm trying to like see the kind of the spectrum and like, you know, that yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see like TI or T in like an FE way, you know, the same way I see kind of values and stuff. But maybe it's just not possible. Maybe they don't translate. Maybe you can't flip it like that. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but
yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I want to be less like stubborn and taking my own ideas so personally and stuff like that. So I'm trying to branch out. But yeah, it's not such an easy task, I guess. But
so I mean, if someone were to, you know, give feedback to your ideas, like, is that offensive to you? Or like if someone gives you a point, like, are you receptive to that?
it depends on how they deliver it a lot of times.
Okay.
I think like the worst thing is, or the most common thing is the person didn't quite understand it, and so they give you like some feedback that doesn't really fit, and then it's very direct feedback, and then you get mad because you feel like, well, one, you didn't understand it, and two, you're so like you're sure of your own feedback, which somehow makes me angry, and then you're just like, But if somebody like the best way to deal with like a TI person when they put like their idea stuff out there is not to like give direct feedback, but rather ask a question about a part for you that doesn't quite make sense, or that is kind of like, I don't know about this part. And so like, you know, you can ask about it. It's like, okay, so you say this, blah, blah, blah. What happens if like this happened? Or like, are you worried about this scenario? Or like, does this also fit into play when this happens? So you can kind of like give like indirect like feedback still without it sounding like you're criticizing it, which is kind of an indirect way of doing it. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it's indirect, but I think you're really accounting for the vibe of the situation. And that's something I've witnessed a lot with being married to a TI person, that he usually comes across as more like gentle than I do, because the way he delivers stuff is usually better, because he can access that FE a little bit easier. So I mean, is that something that you really have to work at in your life, or is that like do you constantly have to remind yourself to deliver things more gently, or does that come more natural?
Yeah, I think it comes natural now, but like it didn't used to, because not because you can't, but you don't know that it's not gentle. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of comes out, and you're like, like I'm. So like a good example I can give you is so I used to be really bad at just being gentle about stuff. It was just very direct. I wasn't trying to be an asshole or anything. I just like just speaking what's on my mind, which sometimes is not the most FE thing, right? So in wrestling in high school, we had our assistant coach who got a head coaching job at another school. And so he's telling us about it. He's like, yeah, I got this head coaching job. They interviewed another guy named Mark Schultz, who was an Olympic champion, like one of the best wrestlers of all time. And they chose me. I was like, they chose you over an Olympic wrestler? It's like, why? And and then, like, I remember my friend Paul turning around at me, but like, Dave, you're such an asshole. It's just little things like that where you don't realize like how you're coming off. You're just like, I just want to know. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They chose an Olympic wrestler who probably be better than a guy who kind of wrestled in college, I would think. So what happened, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay, that makes sense. I see that.
You're just kind of oblivious, I think. So it takes a while to get to where you're not oblivious, you know? And sometimes I think looking at because like you also like as a TI, I get mad when people are super direct too. Like if that would have been flipped around on me, I would have got mad if I was the coach, you know what I mean? And so I think learning like how you get triggered helps you understand how not to trigger other people, I think. So I think it kind of comes from that, but it definitely takes practice and just being aware, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever get the feedback that like you can be like patronizing with the FE? Because like as an FI, like sometimes it can kind of come across like that. Like if you deliver things too gently, I'm like, no, just speak to me normally. Like just tell me, like, why are you sugarcoating it? But yeah, then if you were to deliver it like more bluntly, I'd be offended too. And so I don't know what the happy median is, but I didn't know if that was feedback you've ever gotten.
And nobody's given me that, but I'm sure some people have definitely felt that way. But I would like them to give me that feedback. So I like what you said. There's like a balance, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I've felt like being patronized as well when it's just over the top FE. Like, no, it's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. You'll be all right. Don't worry. And it's like, gee, what are you doing? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, weird.
Like, so yeah, but I think like I'm trying not to do that either. But it's so hard because like for me, like effing enough is easy because I just kind of simulate how I would feel in the situation. But now I have to simulate how somebody else would feel that would feel like FE is patronizing to them. So how can I put myself in that mode to kind of gauge like, okay, like what's the right amount? Like what is patronizing? You know what I mean? That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously impossible to satisfy everyone. And like from the other perspective, like if it's someone who either they know ops or they are growth mindset, like they should be able to tell like this person is trying to be nice, you know, and not take it offensively. Cause like if someone is gentle, at least the way I perceive it is like they're not being rude. And so it's at least it's better than being rude. So they're trying in some way. So at least I can give them the benefit of the doubt there. So I think it has to be a two-way street.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you get feedback for being on the rude side? I don't know if I've heard that feedback for like masculine TEs and especially like savior Ts and stuff, things like that sometimes. Well, actually not all the time. Some masculine TEs are not like that at all. But I'm wondering, lead FI, do y'all come off like that sometimes or?
Yeah, definitely. It's like a polar swing between if it's something that I like FI believe in, like I can come across strong, but if I'm not sure about something, then that's when I get real feminine with the way that I'm delivering the message.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe more so from like family members and maybe because I'm more comfortable with them. But yeah, I've been trying to work at my delivery because I know that helps.
Is it a tough feedback when you get that feedback that is it tough to receive that feedback that you were a little too much? I feel like from a demon FE perspective, when you fuck up the FE, it's like, oh God, no, what have I done? For you, is it the same way or not so much?
Not at all, because I'm not offended by the F. Like if I know I'm being rude.
Okay.
I know how I'm delivering something. And I can tell. And so if you tell me that was rude, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I know I meant it that way.
Okay, that's really good, actually. Okay.
I would be offended if you commented on, you critiqued like the content of what I was saying.
Oh, so if you critique the content of what you're saying, then it's more difficult, or?
Yeah. Okay. Not as much the delivery.
Interesting. Okay. For me, I feel like it's the opposite. Okay, maybe that's also like a
because you're offended by thinking.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay, can you unpack that a little more? Like, what are some ways that you would say you're offended by thinking, if you can?
Like if I did something wrong, or not the most efficient way, or if I left out a step, and then I'll just use my husband as an example because he's TI. Like he'll come in and say, well, what about this? And like I really tried hard, and it just hits me that like I didn't do it right, and that's where the fear is, because I don't have enough practice in that area. And so you come in and you tell me I didn't do it right. Like it's so hard for me to just be like, oh, you're right. Like, thank you for helping me. I'll do it, better next time. It's like, man, like I failed.
Okay. Yeah. In those situations, what's the best way to give you like feedback in that sense? If you're like, for like a TE thing like that?
I I don't know. It's such a hard question, because sometimes it doesn't really matter how you deliver it.
Okay. Oh yeah. It's like an FE.
Unfortunately.
In that lens. Okay.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't the case, but if I'm going to be offended by it, I'm going to be, offended by it no matter how you say it. So that's just something I have to.
Okay. Even if someone's like, I fuck this up all the time, no worries. If you just did this, this, and this instead, it'd be better. Even like that, or would it still be like,
Yeah, no, actually that might be better. Like if you make it more relatable, as opposed to like thinking like, okay, sorry, you're the perfect one. Like I know you do it right and I do it wrong. Like then I feel like, yeah, like you're above me, I'm below you. That whole.
Yeah, totally. I could understand that. Yeah, I think that helps. Like I don't know. I have like someone in my family that likes to give me advice on everything. I like just anything. It does like how to sit on a couch, how to cook an egg, or how to break open an egg, things like that. It's just advice all the time. And I get super triggered by that, because it's like, you don't think I know how to crack an egg? Like, what's wrong with you? Or like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's super jarring. I get like pissed, but it's a different, I think, kind of reaction, where it's like, I think with you, it seems more like it's a vulnerability thing. Like, okay, this isn't something that I'm like spending a lot of time on and things like that. So I'm a little more like shy around it. Whereas me, it's more like, how dare you? Like, how could you think that I'm bad at this? You know what I mean? Like, it's right. Sorry, say that again.
Because you think you're right.
It's not that I think that I'm right, but for you to assume that I need to be taught how to do this makes me feel like you think that I'm an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So
like if you were like, let's say that you're a really good chef, and maybe you are, I don't know. And somebody's like, no way, that's not how you do it. Here's how you do it. You're like, hey, I'm a fucking chef. What are you showing me this shit for? What do you do for a living? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of relate to that a little bit, or?
A little.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe it's a bit different, but yeah, there's something to just like getting advice all the time or critiques on the way you do stuff. It still is annoying, I think, for TIs, but it's not like, it's more like fuck off. I do it the way I do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need your criticism.
Okay.
Or it could be even more where you're like, no, I actually do it better than you, so don't tell me how to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So you know Ron Swanson?
Yes.
So when he goes to Home Depot, there's a guy that comes up and immediately tries to help him what he's doing, and he just goes, I know more than you. And he keeps walking. Like, it's that kind of thing like that, I think.
Oh, that's funny. I guess I'm thinking like if we're like taking a walk in the neighborhood, like my husband will comment on everyone's lawns, and he's like, they shouldn't have done it like that. If you do that, and this will happen to the tree. Like that person, like just commenting on the way everyone's doing stuff, and then I might say to him, like, are you a professional gardener? Like, how do you? What makes you think that how to do it? But I guess in his mind, in the experience that he has, like, it's so true and so real. But
yeah,
that kind of stuff, I would just brush off. I would be like, oh yeah, I probably don't know how to do that. Like, I'm not going to own it at all.
Yeah, it's really easy to have an idea about stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's and it's really easy to feel like you're right too. Yeah, I would say.
Definitely.
For sure. So, how would you say your type fits into? This is kind of a channel change here, but how would you say it fits into your childhood? Do you feel like you could see being savior FISC, or do you feel like you were using different functions when you were younger? I know a lot of people feel like they were kind of a different type back then. And I'm wondering if it kind of syncs up to how you understand your type.
No, I feel like it fits me perfectly.
Okay.
The older I've gotten, the more I've, associated and identified more with the demon functions, the thinking, intuition. But yeah, just very like emotionally reactive.
Mhm.
I always knew like my plan, what I wanted, like this is the way I wanted things to go, and it's hard to shift in that. And,
Mhm.
and it's more like when I was younger, if things didn't go my way, like I would make sure you knew that. I wasn't just gonna be like, okay, whatever, like we'll do it your way. It's like, no, this is what I want. And so I've had to, definitely work on being more like go with the flow in terms of like being with the group.
Mhm.
But that definitely was a big characteristic of my childhood.
Okay. So you're getting feedback from the tribe. It's like, oh, it always has to be your way, that sort of thing, or
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
and it's like you're gonna know about it if I'm not happy. Like I'm gonna show it on
Okay.
my face, like
Okay.
I'm there and pout,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, at least you're communicating it, like if it's
Yeah,
sometimes it's kind of like keeps hidden and then it just comes out at some random time later on and everyone's confused and everything. So there's like an honesty in just being like, "Oh, fuck this. You know what I mean? I feel like.
yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean that happens too sometimes. Like if I'm like it's still a struggle. Like if I have to what's the word I'm thinking of? Compromise on something,
Mhm.
I might say even now, like at, you know, this age, I might say okay, but then it will build on top of itself. And I'll say okay, and I'll say okay again, and then okay again, and then it will blow up. And I think what
Okay.
I need to be more honest about saying is actually saying how I feel. But then I'm like, but I have to be more accommodating to other people,
Mhm.
but then that still makes me blow up. And so I think that's always going to be an issue with that FI being first, because if I go against that FI and do more of the TE, then I do feel like I am betraying myself. And so there is always that conflict there.
Mhm.
And so I think I should be honest and be like, um, yes, we can do that. But if I'm being honest with you, I don't want to, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
getting it out there as opposed to just like
Uh,
bottling it up.
sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause you have to compromise and everything. So,
mhm. Has that like worked out pretty well, or what's been kind of been your experience with that? Has that settled most
um,
of the stuff? Or?
that's some feedback that my husband gives me. Like he can tell. He's like, "You're not happy about this," and he's like, "Why did you say yes if you weren't happy about it, or why did
Mhm.
you say no?" And I'm like, "Because I felt like I should do what you wanted to do. Like I felt like that was the mature thing to do." And he's like, "No, just be honest with me." And so I think what he would want from like the FE advice he's giving me is like, be honest, but we still have to have a discussion as to how what the best compromise is between the two of us,
Mhm.
opposed to me being like, oh no, like we'll do it your way, and then I'll secretly sit there and not be happy. I don't know if
Mhm.
that makes sense, but it's just, yeah, like effectively communicating what I'm feeling or thinking, even if that is not the result that ensues.
Okay, I gotcha. So, like, a lot of times you can come up with a compromise from those situations, be like, "I'm gonna do it," but also I'm not feeling too super great about it. And
Yeah.
then kind of like you like alter it from there, I guess, or change things that you don't like about it maybe, or
Yeah. Um, I think so.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds healthy for sure. But yeah, do you also see, or do you see in your past issues with feminine and I? Was that ever a thing, or those things a bit easier or a bit harder to bring
Um,
up from your past?
I guess a little bit like with making a concrete plan, that's pretty difficult for me because I I don't want to narrow down, and I don't want to like if I'm blasting like giving advice, I don't want to be bossy is how I see it.
Mhm.
I also don't want to limit the possibilities. Like we have a 1-year-old, and there's a lot of decisions that we have to make every single day.
Yeah.
And right now, just one where we're transitioning him from his bottle to a sippy cup. And I'm typically the one who, is mostly in charge of that kind of stuff. But then my husband wants to be on board, and he wants me to tell him like what's going on so that he knows what to do. And that's, to me, it feels like so much pressure, because I'm like, I don't know how to say like, this is what we're doing to you. Like, I can do it for myself, but I don't know how to tell you like it's this way, because I know he's going to take what I say seriously and do it. And then that makes me so uncomfortable, because I'm like, but what about all the other things and options, and like kind of plan in the moment. And I use my intuition to be like, no, this is right. No, this is right. But then I can't effectively communicate that to my husband when he knows what's going on.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah. And then I get real timid. Like right now I'm like, no, I don't know how to say like, this is it. Because there are so many things it could be.
Okay. I think I get it. I thought I got it. And then you said that, and I'm like, wait, maybe I don't get it.
Yeah.
So is it like, you feel sure about it, but you don't actually know if it's true, so you don't want to really give it to someone else? Or is it?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's more in the thinking realm, but like if it's not true, I don't want to sound confident about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. That's more like thinking, not the NI. But yeah, or if it's like, what time are we leaving tomorrow? And then I like panic, and I'm like, between 8:20 and 8:30. Like, I can't give you a time.
Oh yeah, like a specific time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, well, I can't. How am I going to give you the exact time? Things change.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll say from 8 until 2 p.m. sometime within there.
Yeah, I know. It feels like limiting to me to say like, this is it.
Yeah. Do you feel constrained by schedules or like things like planned in the future?
No, that stuff does give me comfort, like schedules, budgets. Like I do like that, because I don't like when it's totally open-ended. And I guess that's more like the double observing thing, because I know that like it will be a mess if you don't have a plan. But I like just a looser plan.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I think and in general, like the NI way of planning tends to be kind of loose for the most part, right? Like you don't really get into, even people that are Savior NI, you're not really getting into specifics a lot of times with plans and things like that, right? Usually just the gist of what should happen and kind of not like I think SI people plan quite differently, but do you feel like you had any sort of tidal waves or any major things that impacted you when you were young that kind of like woke you up out of I guess your demons? Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I had a moment in college where I realized I was demon FE, and I was like pissing everyone off, and it was kind of a eureka thing. Like anything like that happened to you when you were young?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but definitely like kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like it's a constant swing of like, I know what I want, this is what I like, but then it hits me where I know I'm not considering other people. I think a lot of the stuff that hits me with the demon FE or demon TE is like, I think I'm well liked until something happens, and then I feel like I'm not, and I'm like, oh no, like how did I miss this? Or I thought people were perceiving me in a certain way, but then turns out like I had no idea how they were, and then it kind of hits me of like I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, that's like earth shattering, isn't it? When you find out people see you differently than you thought they did.
Yeah, because I kind of try to like portray myself the way that I want other people to see me, but I mean, I don't really have control over that.
Yeah.
Like I want to, but I don't. And so then when it comes into reality of like people do not see me that way, I'm like, oh well, I tried so hard to make that happen and it didn't happen at all.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I don't know how to stop doing that.
Do you feel like it's ever been positive though? Like you found out that the tribe saw you in a way that you weren't expecting, but it was actually like a really positive thing that you weren't aware about yourself?
Not usually.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't take like compliments too well.
Okay, so you just ignore them, I guess, if they
Yeah,
were to give you that feedback?
I don't know. They don't really do very much to me just because I am so like DI, like I am secure with myself. And so like if you give me a compliment, to me it just sounds kind of fake.
Okay.
Um I guess if it's like at work and my boss says I did a good job, like but that's more complimenting like my work ethic.
Mhm.
Um no. To answer your question, I guess not. Maybe I should pay attention to that more.
Yeah, I'm sure there's quite a few, like there's probably some negative things that the tribe thinks about us IPs that, we're not aware of, there's like a lot of positive stuff too, I think you'll find. You're like, "Oh, I didn't know I did that. I do that? Oh, that sounds pretty cool, actually."
Yeah, but
You know?
I will never find out because I'll never ask because I'm too afraid.
Oh, yeah, asking is a weird yeah. I guess yeah, I've never gotten any feedback like that from asking. Somebody was just bold enough to just say it randomly, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much,"
Well, but
yeah, asking is hard, yeah.
yeah, you want to know, but are you ever gonna actually ask someone? Even like if it's like my husband, like
Mhm.
I can't ask him those things.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah, the trap.
So yeah, Dave had a way to finding the negative ones that he talked about in the video once, where he was saying like, I think you get everyone like when you're out drinking or something like that, you kind of poke fun at yourself a little bit for something you think the tribe may think about you, and then to see what the feedback from the tribe is. If they kind of join in with you with it, then you can kind of okay, they kind of think this about
Yeah.
me, whatever like that.
Okay.
I
That's
don't
true.
know how that would work in the positive way, other than you being really drunk, be like, "What do you guys think about me?" You know what I mean? Which would be really
Yeah.
weird.
Or like
But if you're drunk, then you don't care, I guess, right?
in a self-deprecating way, you'd be like, oh yeah, like I know I do this, or
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you say it in a positive way, like, what are you gonna say? Like, I'm awesome at this.
And then you're waiting, like, right, right, right.
Yeah.
Cricket.
I I wonder if like thinking about it from a double decider perspective, are they just not concerned with this? Like it doesn't bother them? Like I don't think they're going out asking everyone their opinion of them all the time, but
Mhm.
don't care as much.
I yeah, I don't know either. My guess would be that like since they really are looking at people to like a greater depth than we probably are, they can probably estimate what they come off and what they're like just by being able to know what's going on internally and to being able to measure up what they know about themselves with all the things that they've observed. Do you know what I mean? So they can kind of place themselves a little better, I would guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Like, I don't think people go around and ask people because how many times have you been asked that? Like, somebody been like, "What do you really think about me?" We've probably never been asked that before. I would, or maybe not ever, but probably doesn't happen too often, right?
No, not I mean, I've been asked like sometimes and it's weird. It's like,
Yeah,
awkward. It's like, what do you want me to say?
yeah. But it's like when somebody does ask me something like that, I try to take it like, okay, this is my chance. Because like if I were them, I would want to know like stuff, and I'm like, okay, they probably feel really awkward asking me this. Okay, I'm gonna come up with the most thing I can give them. But hopefully it's like on a text message or a voice note, so you can think about it first, right?
Right? Yeah. It probably
Yeah,
you're in the headlights a little bit.
but
Feels good.
it's also a nice way to kind of slip in like, yeah, could you do I'd like to know too. Maybe it's not awkwardly as you can, but at least like in that situation, it's like not as weird to ask that after you've been asked. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Or you could even like indirectly and be like, like I've always wondered what people thought, but I'm always too afraid to ask. Hint, hint. You know what I mean? Hopefully they pick up on it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a definitely a way to deliver it to not be weird. Like
Yeah,
um
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, that's even, years into my marriage. I'm working on it more of like asking just a straight up question. Like it's not that hard, but yet I make
it's even harder with people you know well, I think, right? Or is that just me?
I don't know.
For me, it'd be harder to ask like somebody I'm really close to, like, so what do you think about me? You know what I mean? It'd be easier for me to ask somebody I don't know that well for some reason. I don't know why that is. I guess because it feels like such a change in behavior from me that I feel weird doing that. But if it's someone that doesn't know me, then they don't know that that's not usually how I am.
Yeah, but they can't answer you honestly if they don't really know you.
True.
They're just gonna probably say something positive because what are they gonna say?
Yeah. Which everyone's going to say something positive. I think that's the problem. You got to find some people that are going to really give you the honest, like, well, you know what, Dave, you're kind of a douchebag, actually.
Yeah. But
yeah.
if you're expecting it, then I guess you can take it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't see it coming, then you're like, wait, what? I mean, it's like, man, that's like the worst thing for an IP, right?
Yeah.
So what have you been doing to work on kind of the double deciding or the TE stuff, or even NI, if even that's like a thing you feel like you need to work on? Do you have some stuff that you're actively trying to do to get better at that sort of thing, or to develop, grow as a person?
Yeah, I mean, I guess according to the math, NI is actually the worst for me because I'm double activated TE. But the fear is around the TE. Like I don't have fear with the NI. But some things I'm trying to do, it is just more I mean, it sounds so like classic saying like just stop talking about myself as much, like listen more. The me story thing, that's big for me, of like I don't have to give you my opinion. I don't have to, relate it back to me. I can, like, if you share something with me, I could just interact with you about that and not like back to me. And in doing so, like I learn more about other people, and I don't walk away feeling like, I don't know, like I dominated the conversation in a negative way. And then I think that just gives you more reps with interacting with people, and that's what the fear is, that because it's last, like I don't have enough experience with it as I do with my FI. It does help being double activated. Like to me, it just kind of feels like a game. Like I still have the same fears as someone who's single activated on their last function, but I kind of know how to manage it and how to like play the game a little bit better, like in social situations. I mean, I probably wouldn't, if you didn't know me very well, I probably wouldn't come across as like, that introverted IP that is more the stereotype.
Yeah. Oh yeah, probably having double activated TE. I forgot you were a glass lizard, but yeah, that probably helps quite a bit. Yeah. I would imagine. Is that a struggle at all? Like not referring back to yourself? Because like somehow, like even I'm gonna do it right now, where I'm be like, sometimes when I do that, it's really hard not to come up with something that relates to me to like talk about that.
And that's what, like when I'm in it, when we're in a conversation, it's like they always say, you revert back to your savers, and it's true. Like the only thing I know what to say when I don't know what to say is like just to talk about myself. And it sounds bad, but that's definitely a problem. Sometimes I leave like I was having a conversation with friends this weekend, and she said something. I can't remember the conversation now. I mean, it's not important, but like my friend said something, and then I responded with something about myself, and I left, and I was like, I could have just not said that. Oh yeah, like that's great, or just something fake, I guess. But see, it feels fake to me. Like if I don't tell you the truth, then it's fake.
Yeah, for sure. I like, or imagine being blast last, and then nothing just comes out. Then if you don't relate it to yourself, then you're just, somebody says something to you, and you're just like, cool. Like, you just.
Yeah.
It's a skill to be learned, but that's cool that you're working on that, and I think that makes a lot of sense to try to get over that. I think that well, like you said, not only will you get to know people a lot better, but you're also working on the demon and everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
In
good.
fact, the more practice you have with that, then like those conversations that we were just talking about, of like asking people their opinion of you, you might not have quite as many questions if you
Mhm.
aren't leaving the conversation like real unsure of yourself. Like that's, I think, when I have questions. It's like if I left a conversation and I'm like, what just happened? Like, did I completely mess that up?
Mhm.
Then that's when like the panic ensues of like, what did they really think about me? But if I left
Mhm.
feeling better about it, then I feel less anxious.
Mhm.
And usually that corresponds to times when I'm not just talking about myself and I'm doing like more of the play, which
Okay.
I, but then again, like I'm double activated play. So is that the best thing for me? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. I mean, what else can you do? I don't know if you can really sleep in a conversation, can you? Like,
No, the, no, but I mean, I do see correlations with like when I am working more on the sleep, then like everything in my life just kind of gets better. But
oh, okay.
yeah, I'm just, definitely the stereotype of go, go, go,
Uh-huh.
not stopping unless I have to. Um, but
Okay. I'd be curious to hear more about that. How sleep has been like a factor. Like, what is it just like in terms of like, oh, I just have more energy because I'm not as active as much, or is it a little more nuanced than that?
it's more nuanced than that. I just always have a million things that I want to get done.
Mhm.
And I I'm okay with like doing things real fast and not being like a perfectionist in a sense, because like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
move on to the next thing. It's like, okay, that's good enough. Like let's get more done. Like that's fun.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean that's just in like the TESE sense. Um, but then I guess some tidal ways with that is like if I'm just going, going, going and not thinking about like, did I actually accomplish like my goals?
Mhm.
I don't, it's so weird because like it's not that it's that hard for me to do the sleep, because
Yeah.
that is my savior function. It's just that I don't do it as often.
Okay.
I know I'm explaining this so poorly, but
No, that's clear. And I can relate to that with, even though I'm not sleep last, to me it's just like I could do it, but like why would I do it?
fear around it, I just like don't
Yeah.
get there, but it's obvious when to other
Okay.
people, like they could see it. It's like, okay, you need to like chill out.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so your sleep is enough. If yeah,
Yeah.
enough. Do you feel like the sleep is more geared towards enough related stuff, or do you feel like it just in general, just when you're processing stuff, it's just all over the place, or do you feel like there really is like the core of it is like, okay, values into the future, or my life path, or whatever NIFI is? I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah, I think it does have a lot to do with that. Like processing my future emotions about something. Like
Mhm.
if I'm making a decision, why, what's the basis for that decision? Like why am I making it? Am I making it because that's what I think will make me look good, or that's what I think I'm expected to do, or is this something that I've like checked with my values and I know that's what I want to do? And that's like where a big conflict comes in, because I know what my values are, but I also like am so worried about something else, and then I will push that, myself to the side so that I can appease my like IP fears.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like the sleep crash thing? I've heard from a couple of sleep class, but they were EPs, so I don't know if it's different. But like at some point, you just like have a thing where you're in sleep mode for like 3 months or something like that. Does that ever happen to you?
Not for that long of a period of time.
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely have crashes where I know like I need to stop and rest. Um, like I have a pretty busy lifestyle now, but my work has been pretty slow the last couple weeks. I've really just been trying to like enjoy, a little bit of downtime. And then when I do that, I realize, okay, how can I make this more consistent in my life? Because I realize like I'm less stressed, like less anxious when I have more time to, just do basic things that I neglect all the time. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how do I incorporate sleep on a daily basis without it being a crash?
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So like can you explain what you mean by sleep also? Like, I think people have different definitions for it. Some people, for them, it's just like not doing anything, just chilling out, doing whatever. Some people, it's actually processing, figuring stuff out. Like, well, for you, what is sleep to you? What do you say?
It's a mixture of both. Because I am very physically busy, just working and having a baby and all that stuff. It's the tough stuff. The tough questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a mixture of both. I don't know.
No, that's okay. Yeah, no, because like sleeping is like a kind of an internal abstract process, and you don't really remember what you did afterwards, right?
Right. I know
like,
I have been sleeping, but what have I
yeah.
been? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been relaxing, not as like anxious about stuff. Been like here's an example, been trying to figure out like if we're gonna move or not. And I've just been really thinking about like why is it that I want to move? Like what are my reasons and values for this? And I've kind of like when I have time to process it, I'm like, I don't think those are good enough. Like I don't think that's really true with my value system. But just on a day-to-day basis, I'm willing to go with that idea of like, yes, let's move because it sounds like the right thing. But when I stop and think about it, I'm like, no, like we're happy where we are.
Okay. So you're like checking your DI. Like you're kind of like, okay,
yeah.
really what I want. It's kind of in there, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I need to just pause and.
Yeah. It's like, I know my DI, but I also like sometimes forget it too. But for me, it really does come back to like, am I doing it for myself or am I doing it for other people?
Okay. Do the other people in FI ever align? Like, does that happen often where you feel like the thing that you want isn't conflicting with the kind of others, or is that like a constant battle there? Would you say?
It does align sometimes. Yeah.
Like that's the trick for TI sometimes. It's because like if we don't want to do the FE thing, but then like if we can like get it in our TI, that's the logical thing to do, then we'll do it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of a weird game that you play trying to get yourself to do like your last function. You know what I mean? It's so weird though because I don't know. It's just like, am I a robot? Like, am I an actual robot or some kind of AI or something? The whole thing is that yeah, kind of a little bit like that. I have to like, gee, I figure out my feelings. Like I have to logically understand my feelings. Like, how does that make any sense? Or that I have to like, it has to make sense to me to feel the values and emotions of the tribe, right? I don't know, it feels kind of robotic, no?
Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like for me to go into observer land a bit, like it's just like a secret plot of the government that actually all lead TIs are actually AI and we're all being beta tested right now. And so actually we're not actually human. Oh, that sounded horrible.
That might be it. I think you're on.
Anyway, no worries. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So how has OP helped you? Has it made a big difference in your own life? Have you seen it in your relationships with work? Like what kind of impact has OP had for you?
Yeah, it's definitely had a big impact. It's, I guess, just like giving me permission to be myself. As odd as that sounds, like as a DI person, like I still need to hear that because, again, going back to the, all this stuff, like about the fear of the tribe, that for me, that's all what it's about. Like, I have permission now that it's not abnormal that I'm feeling this way, that other people feel this way too. And so it's helped me stop and realize when I'm doing stuff that is causing issues, like that is the way that I'm wired. And I can stop and I can recognize that and then move forward. I think when I didn't know, because I didn't think I was this type, and it is kind of an odd type, and so there was some confusion there, but now I just see it. I see everything so much more clearly.
What type did you think you were?
I didn't really know exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I went through a lot of different ones. I wasn't ever like set on one thing, but I kind of lean more towards the DE side. I feel like that's what I was looking at all day long. Like, but no, it's just double activated.
Yeah, that could be tricky, I think, right?
Yeah,
because like you're technically doing it more than DI almost, or at least like you have two animals that are just doing D all the time.
It's kind of weird, but I don't have the. I mean, I'm definitely DI. Like it makes perfect sense now. But yeah, it's helped me. It's helped me have like more empathy for other people. Because that's one thing that's real hard for me. Like if I don't understand something or believe in something, like I have a hard time with other people who have different opinions than I do. And just trying to wrap my head around like, how could they possibly think that way? How could they possibly do that? Like, it's truly one of the hardest things, or not, especially if it's like a family member or someone close to you. I'm just like, you're psychotic. Like, how could you possibly, like, how can you live your life like that? But it really like wrecks me to the core, and it gets me so stressed out because I think, well, if they did it more like me, they would be happier. So, you know, if I tell them that and I help them get better, then they would have a happier life. But like, that's not gonna, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so I'm just realizing that like I can coexist with other people and not have anything in common with them and still be fine with it.
Yeah,
that's
gonna be tough, right?
Yeah, that's really hard for me to accept because I would rather just be around people who, you know, I get along with, think like me. Like that's easy, comfortable. But it definitely challenges you and makes it okay to know that like people do think differently and there's nothing wrong with them. Like you don't have to change them. But yeah, does that stuff really irk you too? Not as much.
It bothers me, but not probably in the same way. I think more like when I can't like, it's for me, it feels like I can't like interpret what somebody's doing. And I don't like understand where it's coming from. And so my mind just fills in the blank. And usually it's something negative and usually something to do with me. And so like I get really insecure around people that I can't really read so well.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to be around people that are really different sometimes. I feel. So it's kind of a demon FE thing, right? You're kind of like, I feel like if I were acting this way, this would mean that I don't like this person. And so I think they don't like me. What did I do for them not to like me? And it's like, well, you didn't do anything. Or they probably do like you, you're interpreting them as you for some reason, right? But like that's kind of that's been the experience for me. But yeah, like what you've been saying, OP's definitely helped a lot with that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell like we're saying similar stuff. Like it is, the nuance is a little bit different, but I mean, I don't feel like we're speaking like two totally different languages or anything. But it's just so interesting to hear you talk because, you know, my husband, his type is so close to yours. Like I've, you know, seen you in interviews and stuff before, but talking to you, like I see a lot of similarities.
Yeah. I would imagine. I wonder if I wonder if he would relate to some of that, what I've said so far. But
I think he would, but since he doesn't know like the terminology and stuff, he's not as open about it.
okay.
And so sometimes you're saying stuff, I'm like, okay, like, is that what, you know, what he's thinking too? He just doesn't know how to communicate it. So I will be taking some of that home with me and trying to figure out, like, is that what's going on in your head? Like,
yeah, just like convert it to normal language and then
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a good idea.
Because he just doesn't talk about like the fear as much. Like he knows if he's doing stuff wrong or, you know, pissing people off, but I don't know if he knows it's like a fear for him. Like a
okay. He doesn't express that it bothers him or that scares him or that he's insecure about it, I guess.
No, like very occasionally, but not too often. So I don't know how to put it into layman's terms.
Yeah. I'm sure you could if you think about it a bit. I'm sure, you know. They just sometimes, you know, when you're around somebody and they act weird, you sometimes wait, shit, even I can't do it. Never mind. Maybe it is difficult, but still, I'm sure you can figure it out though.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, we actually have our first question. Oh, we have some comments, but
nice.
From Andreas. Oh, he was on last week. Welcome back, Andreas. Good to see you again. How does demon TE, the DE and T play out in your life?
I definitely don't feel responsibility to do the thing, is what they say. Like sometimes I want to like try to prove myself, but if it's like I'll just take a very easy example, like a thing around the house that needs to be done, like like mowing the yard or like taking out the trash. I'm like, you can do that. Like you can be that. I will do you know, let me do the F, like I'll decorate. And so I definitely see that, but I don't have a problem with stepping up and doing it, but that's not my my default. So it's that I don't feel the responsibility to do the T or to explain the T. Like if someone were to ask me like, why did you do this? Like it's one of my least favorite questions ever. Not because I don't know, but like having to communicate it into words, like that's real difficult. So I can just like put it off and not focus on it.
How does that come to play at work? Do you find work challenging because of that, or is work like a different realm?
Work's a different realm, but I also spend like I have a very T job. Like I work in, you know, business, corporate America type job, and so I feel like I get all my T out there. And then when I come home, it's like, please don't make me tea. Like I've been tea.
I've had enough. Yeah.
And so then I think I can get kind of frustrated with that. But it's not that it's easier or not hard, but I know there's a responsibility. Like I can't talk to people I work with in the same way, and I can't put that off. Like that's my job. That's my, you know, I get paid to do what I do. So I just look at it differently.
Okay, fair enough. Well, cool. Well, we're actually at about an hour, and I know you didn't want to stay too much longer after that. Anyone have any last questions before we wrap this up? Usually the answer is no, but maybe we'll get one. All right. Well, yeah, thanks again, Shelby, for coming on. Really appreciate you having there, and thank you for all the good ISFP knowledge. I definitely feel like I learned a good bit about FI and kind of also the similarities between TI and FI being IPs and stuff. So yeah, it was really good.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see y'all next time. Take it easy. Bye.